Okay, any doubt consent to yesterday's class? Is it audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we'll start with second part. Yesterday we completed the built-in or library functions. Today we'll start with the second part of the function called as user-defined functions. So first thing, you have to define what do you mean by user-defined functions. User-defined function is a function that is defined by a user to solve their problems. Such function can be called from anywhere and any number of times in the program. It means the C++ provides a facility for the user to define their own functions to solve their problems. And such functions can be used any number of times in a program, and from anywhere, from any part of the program, you can call that function number of times. This is the facility we are getting from user-defined function. I'll repeat one second definition. User-defined function means a function which is defined by the user to solve the problem is called as user-defined function. After knowing the definition, then we move on to the syntax, right, or the structure of the function, how to use the user-defined function. The user-defined function can be used by following the structure, that is return type specifier, function name, open parenthesis, argument list with declaration. This complete line is called as function header. Return type specifier, function name, argument list with declaration is called as function header. Then opening brace that contains local variable declarations, executable statements, right? Then number of executable statements at the end, return with or without expression. Normally return with expression in closing brace. This is called as the structure of user-defined function. So in this, we'll study one by one now. With the return type specifier in the first line function header, return type specifier means after execution of this function, what type of value we are getting it as a result, that we are calling it as return type specifier. I'll repeat that. Return type specifier means is the one data type. What data type you can write? That can be written as after execution of this particular function, what type of value we are getting it as, that is written as return type specifier. It means after execution of the function, what type of value will get, that is represented as return type specifier. That is nothing but a data type. It may be integer, float, character. Sometimes the function may not return any value. At that time, you can write void also. Then next, function name. Function name is nothing but it is an identifier to identify the function in the program, because the program may contain n number of functions. In that, this function can be identified by the particular name. Then third part of the first line, that is argument list with declaration. The number of arguments which we are using in this function should be listed in a pair of parentheses along with their data type. It means that argument list with the declaration contains data type, then argument name, that is nothing but variable names used in that function. After that, the body of the function contains local variables and the executable statements. Altogether, the statements present inside a pair of braces are called as body of the function. Right? That depends on the question. You can write it. You understood this? You understood this part? Yes. Get it? You got it?
Yes, sir.
Shall I go for next?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Next one is calling a function. Once you have written a function means how to call that. How to call a function? You have to follow the syntax. That is variable equal to function name within the parenthesis list of arguments ending with semicolon. This is one form. The second form is or variable equal to function name open parenthesis close parenthesis semicolon. Is it clear? These are the two methods you can use. In the first method, what I've done is that function contains arguments. That function contains argument. It means arguments are passed from one function, calling function to called function. In that case, you can use the first type of syntax, that is variable equal to function name and argument list. Suppose sometimes the function will not contain any argument, only the control is transferring from one function to another function, that is from calling function to called function. Then you use second form of syntax, that is variable equal to function name. The pair of parentheses empty. It means they are not passing any arguments from calling function to called function. Suppose in the first form, if you are using argument, then if it is more than one argument, if you are passing means each and every argument will be separated by commas. Each and every argument should be separated by commas. Is it clear? Syntax is clear? Then next,
Yes,
always
sir.
the function call is the simple method. It is an expression that is given in the form of example. When you go to that example, big equal to, big is one variable, equal to biggest of a comma b comma c, close parenthesis semicolon. In this example, big is a variable and biggest is the name of the function, that is user defined function. Then the pair of parentheses contains list of arguments. There are three arguments we are using, A, B, C. All the three arguments are separated by commas. Is it clear? Next, after knowing how to call a function with arguments or without arguments, we know now. After knowing this, we move on to the next one. Right? That is main. We all know that from the first year only. Main is a built-in function. Each and every C++ program must contain one and only one main in the program. Right? When we use the main in the program, it gives certain information to the compiler. That is, if your program is executed successfully, then that main returns 0 to the operating system, so that the program is error-free as executed. If your program is not executed, it is full of errors, it contains errors, then it gives a non-zero value to the operating system. It indicates that that contains errors. If the main function is not returning a value, then the void data type can be used. Understood this part? Shall I repeat or next?
Repeat, sir.
Main is a built-in function, right? Every C++ program must contain one and only one main. When you write the main, it has certain importance. That is, when you execute your program, if your program is executed successfully, then the main is going to return. Main is going to return a value 0. to the operating system. It means your program is successfully executed. This is one part. Suppose you are executing your program, but it contains errors. Then the main returns a non-zero value to the operating system. Suppose we know that our program is not returning any value, right? Then you can write void as a data type. So we are not returning any value to the operating system. Is it clear? Then next, how to write the main?
Yes, sir.
How to write the main? We all know now because in the first year I studied. The main can be written with int main or void main. I just know that if you write int main means after execution of the program, the main is going to return some value, either 0 or a non-zero value. That is in the case of int main. If you write void main, then this is not going to return any value for the operating system. So out of these two, you can write any one in the main. Then we all know that the main function contains always the executable statements. The body of the main function contains the main part of the program that always contains the executable statements of the program. Is it clear? Next. Suppose if you're writing a return in the functions, either that may be a built-in function or user-defined function. If you're writing a return with or without expression, return can be written with or without expressions. When a function is called, the statements in the called function will execute. We all know that. When a function call is made, the body of the called function will be executed. After executing the statements, the function returns a value to the calling function. The return statement is used to return a value. A function can return only one value or none to the calling function for every function call. It means we all know that the statement return is used to return either only control from called function to calling function back, or the return with expression can be used to return a value from called function to calling function back. There are two forms, return with expression and without expression. How it works, the return statement, when a function call is made or when a function is invoked, the called function executes completely, and at the end, if there is only a return, then only control will transfer from called function to calling function. This is one case, only return. Suppose if you are using return with expression in a called function, then what happens? When a function call is made, the called function will execute completely. Then after reaching the statement return with expression, the control along with some value, the expression value, will be returned from called function to calling function back. This is about returning a value. Then next one is function prototype. Function prototype. Like in the C++ program, we all know that before using any variable, it should be declared. Then you have studied before using any array, it should be declared. Like that, in functions also, before using any function, it should be declared. Then that is called as function prototype. It means function prototype means the function can be declared before the execution of that function is called as function prototype. Declaration of the function before the execution is nothing but function prototype. Then, after knowing that function prototype, like all the normal variables, we are declaring function also before the execution of that function. This is an optional. This is not compulsory for every function. If you want, you can declare and use. Otherwise, directly you can use it. There are two options are available in function. If you declare and use, then it is called as, the declaration is called as function prototype. Then the syntax of that. The general form or syntax of function prototype is return type specifier, then function name, inside the parenthesis, type argument 1, type argument 2, dash, 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 close the parenthesis, ending with semicolon. Or return type specifier, function name, open parenthesis, type, comma, dash, 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 close the parenthesis, semicolon. These are the two forms of syntax can be used for function prototype. This question was asked in your annual exam for 1 mark also. Many of you have not written this syntax. Then, example, consent to both the syntaxes. Account to first syntax. Right? Float, volume, open parenthesis, int x, comma, float y, comma, float z, close parenthesis, semicolon. We all know that return type specifier means it is a data type. After execution of that particular function, what type of value it may return. That is nothing but the return type specifier. In this example, that is float. It means after execution of this function, we are getting the answer in the form of float. Then, to identify the function, we have the function name called as volume. Then, within the parenthesis, type means data type. We have given first argument type is int. Int x. Int is data type. X is argument 1. Then second one, data type is float. Argument is y. Third one, float data type. Argument z. All the three are separated by using commas and ending with semicolon. This is called as example of function prototype according to syntax 1. Then, according to syntax 2, instead of writing argument name, that may be skipped. That is syntax 2. Only you can write the data types. That is float, volume, open parenthesis, int, comma, float, close parenthesis, semicolon. It means during function prototype, you can write only data types which you are using in the particular argument purpose, or else along with data type you can mention even the argument name also. Right? These are the two types of syntax you can follow in function prototypes. Any doubt up to here? Any doubt? Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll continue. Next one is, we'll study detail about the arguments now. There are different types of arguments are available because a variable in a function header is nothing but an argument. In case of just now what we studied, that is in the case of example, float volume int x, comma, float y, comma, float z. At that time we said that x, y, z are arguments. They are actually in the beginning what we studied is int x means in the beginning we studied that it is a variable. In case of function we are calling that as an argument. That's why a variable in a function header is called as an argument. There is nothing special. Initially we call it as variable. Now in function lesson we are calling it as it is a argument. Just like last year your first year students, This here your second year student. Like that, beginning you called it as x as a variable. Now we are calling that x as a argument. Different names are given for representing a variable here. Initially variable, argument, sometimes you can say that parameters, etc. The arguments are used to pass information from calling function to call function. Why we are using arguments in the function? We want to pass them. When a function call is made, we are passing the arguments from calling function to call function. For that purpose, we need arguments in the function. Then there are different types of arguments are there. First, we start with actual arguments. Actual arguments. The function call statement contains name of the function and list of arguments to be passed. As you know that the function call contains name of the function and list of arguments. In case of our example, float volume. Volume is name of the function that contains list of arguments. There, these arguments or parameters are called as actual arguments. It means the function header contains the actual arguments. Function header contains the actual arguments. The calling function contains the arguments present in the calling function are called as actual arguments because they are user inputted values. Actual argument means they are present in the calling function. That arguments values are inputted by an user. These arguments may be the constants or variables, or sometimes they may be an expressions. These actual arguments have values stored in them before function call. That's why the name is actual. It means when you declare that particular arguments in the program, we have given input value for that before using that particular variable in the function argument as a function argument. Before using that argument as a function argument, the user has already given some input values for that. That's why they are called as actual arguments. Then the next one. The example is given. G equal to GCD of A comma B semicolon. In this case, G is a variable, GCD is name of the function, then A and B are the arguments. They are called as actual arguments because GCD is a calling function. Then we move on to the second type of function called as formal arguments. Formal arguments. The function header contains return type specifier, function name, and list of arguments with their declaration. These arguments are called as formal arguments or dummy arguments. The function header contains return type specifier. We know that. Function name, yes. List of arguments and their declaration also. They are called as formal arguments or dummy arguments. Formal arguments get their values from the actual arguments. From where they are getting the values? Normally, in general, you can say that these formal arguments are nothing but the arguments present in the called function are called as formal arguments because that arguments takes their values from the actual arguments. Is it clear? I'll make clear again. See here. When you come across the function, we'll get two terms, calling function and called function. The arguments present in the calling function are called as actual arguments because they are user inputted values. Then, when the function call is made, the control will jump from calling function to call function along with the copied values of actual arguments or parameters. Then what the called function does? The called function receives the arguments values from calling function and assigns to their arguments in a sequence. That's why we're saying that formal arguments will take the values from the actual arguments. That's why they are called as dummy arguments. Then in the example, int GCD of int x, comma, int y. It means normally in the calling function, no need to write the data type for the arguments, but in the call function, the pair of parentheses contains argument name along with data type. It is compulsory. That's why we are showing it here. Int GCD of int x, comma, int y, where x and y are called as formal arguments or dummy arguments. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we
Yes,
move
sir.
very good. Next, we move on to the next variable. They are local variables. Next one is called treated as local variables. As we all know that the variables which we are declared inside a function are called as local variables. That may be any function. Either that may be a built-in function or user-defined function. The variables which we are declared inside the function are called as local variables. The local variables values are accessible only in that function or in that body. Is it clear? Concern to local variables? I'll repeat that. What are local variables? The variables which are declared inside the function, they are called as local variables. Then that variable can be accessed only in that part of the function, only in that function. Is it clear? Then next, global variables. The variables declared outside the function are called as global variables. These variables are referred by same data type and same name throughout the program. It means if you compare global variables with local variables, the local variables are declared inside a function, whereas the global variables are declared outside a function. Then the life or scope of local variable is confined to only that function, whereas the scope or life of global variable is throughout the program or entire program. The variables can be used in the whole program. That is the advantage of global variables. Whenever some variables are to be treated as same values in both main and other functions, it is advisable to use global variables. It means that if the variables are repeating in number of functions, either from main to user-defined functions or from one user-defined function to another user-defined function, then instead of repeating the declaration and giving input for that, better to go with global variables. Before the main only you can declare the variables, so that variables or even the values are initialized, that initialized values can be used in throughout the programs. It means all the functions inside that program can use the same values or variables in the program. This is the advantage of global variables. If the variables and their values or their values are repeating number of times in a program, then only you can go with global variables. Otherwise, it is not required. Is it clear? Up to here, any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, then next,
No, sir.
after knowing the user-defined functions and the structure parts, we move on to the next part called as the types of user-defined functions. The types of user-defined functions. There are 5 types of functions. There are total 5 types of functions are there. Number 1 is called as functions with no arguments and no return value. Function with no arguments and no return values. The second one, functions with arguments and with no return value. Function with arguments and no return value. Third one, functions with no arguments and with return value. Third one is functions with no arguments and with return values. And the fourth one is functions with arguments and with return values. Functions with arguments and with return values. And the last one is recursive functions. Last one is called as recursive functions. Just I want to give one information. If you want to again review the class are recording. This recorded classes are available in college website, right? When you enter the college website, the website name is, already you might be knowing that, www.gurukul.edu.in. This is the college website. I'll repeat, www.gurukul.edu.in. When you enter into this website, a tab called as courses anta kanutte nimage line alli menu type kanutte nimage. In that courses anta ide. When you click on that courses, you'll get different options. In that you can click on commerce online classes. Commerce online classes. Then you'll get the recorded classes. Whichever you want, you can access any number of times because they are in YouTube's. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mine 3 or 4 classes are now put it on the website. 3-4 class is already recorded. You can go through that later. Now, we'll continue. Now, time is limited. So what we'll do is, we'll discuss on this only briefs about the types of functions. In detail, we'll continue in tomorrow's class. Now, first one, function with no argument, no return values. Not only use example for this is student case. Student ತೋರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನ. ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಓದೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬಂದನು ಏನೂ ಕಲಿಲಾರ್ದನೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಓದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಓದಿಲ್ಲ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ. ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ನೋ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ನೋ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದನೂ ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿನ, ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದನೂ ಏನು ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಾಲೆಜ್ ಅನ್ನ. ಒನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ತಗೋತೇನೆ. ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನೋ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ. ಇದು ಬಹಳ ರೇರ್ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್. ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಓದ್ತಾರೆ, ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕಲಿಲಾರದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ, ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ನೋ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್. ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಏನೂ ಓದ್ಲಾರ್ದೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಫುಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಒನ್, function with arguments and with return value. This is in the case of good students. Good students ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಓದ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿತ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್. ಫೋರ್ತ್ category is the best category in these four. Right? Reverse hierarchy reverse ಇದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕೆಟಗರಿ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಮನೇಲಿ ಓದೋ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ, ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮನೇಲಿ ಓದ್ಲಾರ್ದೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಕಲ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಉಳಿದು 2 ಕೆಟಗರಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ರೈಟ್? ಓಕೆ. ದೆನ್ ರಿಕರ್ಸಿವ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್, ಸಮ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ದ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್. ಮನೇಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಓದಿದ್ದನ್ನೇ ಓದೋದು. ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲೂ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನೇ ಕೇಳೋದು. ಯಾವ ತರ, ಈಗ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ದಟ್. ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ಎನಿ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಅದನ್ನೇ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಕರ್ಸಿವ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್. ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಪೀಟೆಡ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. ರೈಟ್? ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ?